Hi everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. If you haven't been here before, my name is Pip. We have had a day and a half of sunshine, which at this point is completely amazing. And so what we have done is try to do as much in the garden in that day and a half as possible, because we've got 9 days of rain coming up again, which is a bit demoralizing, but it is what it is. This garden bed had a whole bunch of broad beans planted in it for green manure for the winter period, and we are 2 weeks from spring, and I plant my corn here because it is fully enclosed, more or less, and that's the only way we get corn. Otherwise bush rats come as soon as there's any form of corn and they completely knock it off. So the broad beans came out, they went in the compost. We had tons of broad beans still from last year, and I had also scattered some silver beet seeds, and evidently some carrots had self-seeded in here, and there's a bunch of dandelions, and I was like, I'll just leave that for the chickens. But what I was actually thinking last night is, if we're going to get 10 days worth of rain, that's actually a perfect time to plant my corn. Okay, it might be a touch early, but you can buy corn now at the hardware store. But what I'm hoping is that if we can clean out this bed completely, then we can put in some corn seeds saved from last year. It can have the 9 days of rain to kind of water it in and get the seeds going, and then that way, if for some reason they don't germinate, we've still got time. I really want to try and get a minimum of 2 crops into this bed this growing season, which I managed to do last year because we had a longer autumn. I'm not sure what the chickens are up to rustling around in there, but hopefully we can get 3 crops. That would be ideal. So what I'm going to do now is just pull out all the carrots and the dandelions and things like that and give them to the chickens. I'm going to try and see if we can salvage some of the silver beet seedlings, because we might as well, and then we'll pop them in some pots in the chicken area for them, and then at least they're useful if they survive the transplanting. And to be honest, the soil is so wet and compacted at this point that I probably should have brought something out to help me dig them up, but I'm not that worried about them. I have a ton of silver beet seeds that I've saved from previous years, so it's not as if we're going to go without silver beet seeds for quite a long time. So right now I'm just going to get everything pretty much ripped out of this bed. Anything that doesn't get ripped out can compost in place. I cut the broad beans off at the very base. I did the same with the corn stalks. You can still see actually the corn stalks here. They're sort of starting to break down, but not entirely broken down. I leave them in because it provides basically stuff for the worms to eat to improve the quality of this bed as time goes on. And also, the more you disturb the soil, the more you damage the soil, the more carbon you release from the soil. So I don't really like to dig up anything that I don't have to dig up. I just tend to leave it in place. But I'm just going to clear it out now, and then we're going to top it with mushroom compost. Time to go feed the chickens. Our last batch of corn had these tiny cobs on them, and I meant to do something with them but never did, and they completely dried out. So now we can try and harvest these corn cobs and see if we can grow anything from them. It'll be interesting to see if anything actually germinates, and as I said, at least if nothing germinates, we've got time to sow more to make sure we get corn crops in place. And I have fertilized the soil because corn is quite a heavy feeder, and we've topped it with mushroom compost because everything needs to have a bit of a chance to break down in there. And I still need to have somewhere to actually sow the seeds, and if I had planted them on top of all the leftover corn from last year and the broad beans, I would have struggled to get these to germinate. The corn is all planted up, and I'm not going to bother watering it in because the storm clouds are literally rolling in behind the camera, but we've got to do something with these seedlings that we pulled from this garden bed. So these are all just silver beet, and we're going to go behind the chicken fence and plant up a couple of containers with some stuff that's chicken friendly and that will hopefully distract them from the garden beds on this side of the fence, and hopefully we're going to get it done before the rain arrives. There's still quite a lot of work to do in this area, a lot of trenching to dig to help with the drainage, and a lot of that is just because of the volume of rain we've had, and this is now 3 winters in a row where we've had stupid amounts of rain. So, I mean, if it wasn't raining this much, we wouldn't have to deal with it. We've also got the compost, which we partially sorted out yesterday. I've still got to move like the worm bin and the spinning compost, and that'll just have to wait for another day. And there's just some general tidy up that has to happen that I haven't had time for, because that means reorganizing the garden shed, which is pretty low on the list of priorities. So hopefully you can see though that I have started working on bringing a whole bunch of sorry about the neighborhood noise, a whole bunch of garden pots down. Some of them are enclosed in some protective mesh, and they have things like oregano or oregano, parsley, chives, coriander, celery, strawberry leaves, comfrey, lavender, things like that in, that I want to be perennialized, and I don't really want the chickens to get in there and dig the whole thing up. Other ones have things like grass weeds in them, or brassicas like broccolis and cabbage and things like that. These ones are obviously going to have the silver beets in them, and hopefully the silver beets will survive the vicious transplanting. But I just had this lump of wood here which was already here, and at this stage don't have anywhere else to put it, so I've just kind of put it in front so that Freckle Betty can get in, because she's the smallest chicken, and I have literally seen her trying to eat raspberry leaves and literally like hopping on the spot trying to jump up and reach the leaves, which was like the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I want her to be able to have as much access as everybody else. On the other side of the run, and we are running out of daylight time before the storm arrives and battery power on the camera, but you can see we've got some snapdragons and nasturtiums and what are they called? Yarrow and more grass and marigolds, and I want to bring heaps more marigolds down here. But hopefully all of this is going to keep the chickens busy when they get outside. They're not going to be outside for a long time because that storm is about to arrive and we're going to have 9 days of rain, as I've said, and they're not supposed to be out and about in the rain because they'll get all sorts of plagues, and I don't want to deal with any more chicken plagues. But I'm just going to pot up a couple other pots with I think the cabbage seedlings and things like that we had started in the milk bottles that are beyond overdue for transplanting anywhere. So hopefully you guys can see how well these brassica seedlings have done inside the milk bottle. They're kind of leggy at this point, and I'm pretty sure they are cabbage. I think they might actually be sugarloaf cabbage, but I actually don't like cabbage. So these were always intended for the chicken or to plant in the garden beds for my best friend to eat because she lives a couple of doors down, and they're a bit too leggy really to have anything much come of them. So what I'm going to do is just pop them in, and then if they thicken up, great. If they don't, oh well, I'm sure the chickens will still destroy them long before they become anything. These ones are slightly less leggy, but the really nice thing about growing in the bottles has been that they don't have any pests on them. So normally I really, probably like most of you, really struggle with brassicas and cabbage moth and aphids and all the things, and nothing with the bottles. It's just so much better. And with these pots, all I'm doing, because we're just trying to quickly get this done before we run out of light, weather and camera, is I'm just plonking them in the soil and the rain can sort it out for us, because the chickens are in all likelihood going to be in here getting crazy. I haven't put any fertilizer in because we don't need any more chicken dramas. In this last bottle we've got some seedlings that really could have a little bit longer in the bottle, but you know, time is money, my friend. So we're just going to plonk them in really gently. This is a chicken feed mix, and I just want to see how this one goes. We've got another bottle of the exact same stuff up on the deck, and it looks like we've got one box left over, but that can be filled another day. So the chicken mix seeds, they're things like I think radishes, sunflowers, buckwheat, a whole range of chicken food, and it's just a trial I'm doing to see if it actually develops and turns into anything. But again, the whole idea is to keep them on this side of the fence and out of trouble, and not on that side of the fence. I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick video, and I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm going to head inside before it starts to rain on me, but thanks so much for spending your time with us, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.